What is the dumbest way you got laid? Left the oven on from dinner before going on a date to see a film. Paranoid about the house burning down while at the cinema on a date. Whisper to her about these concerns so we leave. We get home and I rush in and turn off the oven. Date says wait, you actually left it on. Then we had sex. Made a friend some jam tarts, which impressed her housemate enough to pursue me. I'm not much of a looker, and she was incredible. Don't know why it all happened. I'd even burned the tarts. Woke up to a commotion outside my room the morning after a night out. It was my flatmate with some girl he'd brought home. He was out separately and her friend just chatting. I got up all groggy, went to the bathroom, and when I came back this girl's friend just followed me back into bed and that was that. Later I found out that she assumed she had come back with me originally, but just woke up on the sofa for some reason. I guess she just decided to resume from where she thought we had been. Definitely the least amount of effort I've ever had to put into getting laid. Was a virgin at the time. Had some people over playing Cards Against Humanity. It's not a serious game, even when you're playing it. So sometimes we would show people the card we drew as a replacement, if it was like perfect for the hand we had just played. I don't remember what the black card we were playing to was anymore, but I drew the friends with benefits white card and it would have been perfect for it. So I leaned over and showed my friend sitting next to me. Later everyone left and she stayed behind and we were talking and she assumed I meant it as a request. I hadn't even thought of that, but rolled with it. I was taking care of a professor's kitten, Mr. Milk, and another student was as well. There was a schedule. Somehow we got crossed up and ended up there at the same time. And a night later we were banging. Met this girl once, and about 3 months later I saw her again, and she got really excited to see me. We were talking for a little bit, and out of nowhere bet me that I didn't remember her name. Well I did, and she was instantly turned on by that. Basically dragged me to her house by my belt buckle. My best friend and I were having a going away party as we were moving out of state. We pretty much looked alike, both tall with long shoulder length hair. One of our mutual friends arranged for him to get laid as a going away gift. All the girl knew about him was he's tall with long hair. Long story short, he cut his hair the day before the party and I ended up getting laid. Had a chick literally follow me home. I was on rollerblades, so I was nice and waited at every corner for her. Apparently that was enough. Took a bet in a pub in Toronto. Went to a girl and whispered to her ear I can speak French between your legs. Was ready and waiting for the physical comeback to hit my face. Instead she spilled all of her drink through her nose and we ended up at her place. Was waiting for my female friend to finish a phone conversation and got bored enough to wash the small mountain of dishes in her sink. Never forget the look on her face. FWB for a few ecstatic weeks after that before we realized I was falling for her. Ended it. We would never have worked out as a couple. But wow, best experiences ever. So yeah, wash them dishes. We were watching Rocky Horror Picture Show, and he asked, if I ask politely, will you have sex with me? I was planning to anyway, but the way he asked made me laugh. I asked politely to lose my virginity back in the day, so that might be a bit of a dumb way to go about it. No gimmicks. Just would you mind if I lost my V card to you? It'd be nice if my first time was with someone I knew and trusted. No awkwardness after. Just a one-off, so I can learn. Apostrophe. Met a girl on Tinder and we decided to bake cookies together at 1 AM after I left work. As soon as the cookies were done she looked over at me and asked if I wanted to go duck. At a party, very drunk, I stumble up to a friend talking to several people I don't recognize. I say hey and just sort of nod along to the conversation. Random girl in the group says something like it's not a party till people start making out. So I drunkenly ask why we aren't making out, which I cringe at now. She asks if I'm serious. I say yeah. We make out for maybe 5 seconds, and conversation resumes. I keep bumping into her throughout the night. We keep making out longer and harder. Eventually we go back to her car to screw. As a disclaimer, I'm really not that hot. I just didn't give a duck. At a party when a really cute Asian girl ran up to me holding her hair awkwardly and asking me where the bathroom was. I told her and she grabbed my hand and pulled me down the hall with her. In the bathroom she said she needed help washing the ketchup out of her hair. She let go of her hair and in her hand was a couple of ketchup packets. Then she says, "Okay, let's take a shower." Who am I to argue? To this day, I have no idea what her name was. I told her that we should duck, just as a joke. We should duck. At her, I'm only joking. Unless you actually wanted to. But haha, no, I'm only joking. Straight up asked a girl by the end of a party if she wanted to bang. Just like that. So, wanna bang? She said no. Then I asked her if she had better plans for the night, which landed me a ha. Fair enough, and boom. Laid. I'm not that hot. Just to fit the 4th of June 10, oddly 7 to 8 gay dudes. Had a girl grab me by the dick. Tell me she wanted it right now. Then after an embarrassingly short duration of her tornado hipping me to ejaculation, she put her panties on and started crying saying Jesus would love her because of what she'd done. No, she wasn't a virgin. So I apologized, completely confused, and made the resolution of that never happening again. 6 years later she saw one of my friends and casually said that I raped her after asking how I was doing. I hooked up with a co-worker at a rave and had sex with her in the backseat of a Honda Civic in Austin. She cried for an hour after that because her father abused her. I did not know that. The next day at work she was totally fine. In college, I met a girl at a party and we hit it off. We started hanging out and she told me she liked making sweets and her favorite was rock candy. Eventually I got the "I don't know if I want a relationship right now" text, and that crushed me. Saturday night, I was drinking at home wallowing in my sorrow when I got a text from her asking if I wanted to try making rock candy. My stupid drunk ass thought she actually wanted to make candy. So I walked the 3 blocks to her house and told her I was ready to make some. She said, "I didn't invite you over to actually make rock candy." Part of me was disappointed I didn't get to make any candy, but hey, forgettable drunk 6. Played spin the bottle with 3 other friends. 2 friends were given some kind of lame dare to kiss each other, but were embarrassed to kiss in front of me and my female friend. So female friend says, "Let us go out the room so they can kiss. Won't take a second. I leave the room with her so my other friends can kiss in private," which I thought was weird. She closes the door, proceeds to start passionately kissing me, and before I know it, we had sex up the wall of my bathroom. She was pretty much a 10/10, and I'm not. Couldn't believe my luck. When I was 18 I was at a costume party after being dumped by a guy earlier that day. A few drinks later, and after venting to my best friend, I got up, stood in the yard, and said I just want to duck someone who doesn't care about me. Guy standing near me in a cow costume turned his head, said let's go, and led me into the house and upstairs. I went to use a public phone box. Yes, I'm that old, and there was a lady who came up to it just behind me. I actually didn't want to make the call, so I said that she could go first. After her call she waited outside the phone booth, and when I was done she said that she was so touched by my chivalrous actions that she wanted to buy me a drink. We jumped in her car and she took me straight to her place and we had sex. It was pretty awesome. Drunkenly asked a random girl who I'd met on Bumble for a lift home from town. We had only been speaking for about a week. I hadn't sent any photos aside from the app or spoken over voice/video call, so it literally cold been anyone. She agreed to take me home, but I was already in the taxi home by that point. I gave her my address and she came over. I ordered us pizza. We ate and then it happened. Was fun. 10/10 would recommend. Accidentally ended up on a Valentine's date last year. Was just looking for people to go to karaoke with. She asked what I was doing on Thursday day last year. I said karaoke and asked if she wanted to go. She said sure, if we could get dinner first. Realized a day later I'd just agreed to a proper date, so booked a fancy restaurant. She wanted to get shots afterwards. I was like cool. Karaoke bar is a few blocks away, but she insisted on some bar in the party district. Shots do nothing to me, but she got terpsed up and started macking me, then told me to invite her back to her place. I did, but part of me was like, but we haven't even gone to karaoke. Broke my foot in a motorcycle accident. I worked with a cute redhead, and she was feeling extra bad for me, and I was feeling my pain meds and casually asked her if she was into cheap, meaningless sex. She smiled and we had sex that night. I only saw her once after that night, but she was cool as hell. I was chatting with a girl and just asked out of the blue, "So, your place or mine?" She looked me up and down, took a drag off her cigarette and said, "Mine." Chug your beer, let's go. Not dumb. Just totally random and unexpected. I used to work at a call center and they employed a few hundred people, so it wasn't super uncommon for you to work with people for months and to have never spoken a word to them. I'd say I'm probably a 5 at best. But one day this woman walks up to my desk out of the blue. I had noticed her because she was incredibly attractive. Tall, tan, raven-haired and filled out a summer dress pretty well. She looks at me and asked, "Do you drink beer?" I'm not so sure what to say as I'm not a very outgoing guy. So I'm just like, yeah. She puts a sticky note on my desk and says, "Write your address. I'm going to come over tonight and we'll drink some beer." At this point there are bells going off in my head and I almost sputtered out, "Why?" I stopped myself and managed to scribble out my address. Sure enough, that night she came over with a dozen beer and we listened to a bunch of music and drank a while, and out of nowhere she's like, "So I think it's pretty clear we are going to have sex, right?" All I can say is it? She gets a good look at my face and starts laughing and she's like, "OMG, the look on your face. Is it really that much of a surprise?" Much later on down the road I asked her what on earth would have ever possessed her to approach me, having never spoken to me before, and just invite herself into my life like that. She said, "The weight of the baggage you carry is apparent in everything you do. It's in your words, in the way you move, and it's in your eyes. You looked like you could use a friend." And I thought that could be me. We stayed friends a long time, until she moved across the country. She was awesome. Helped to push me in the right direction, to start getting help with some mental health issues. It's been nearly a decade now, and my life is so much better and so much happier than it ever was. It was a long journey and I owe a lot of people for everything they've done. But it was that one random act of kindness that started it all. I went to a karaoke club in a different city. It was very full, so I sat outside and had a smoke. A random girl walks up, asks for a lighter, then tells me that her friend has an architecture office around the corner and if I want to come. I did want to come, so I went. It would be really easy for me to get murdered, I guess. Pirating FF7 Advent Children. Was talking to a girl online that was a big anime/JRPG fan, and I asked her to come over and watch it. It had just come out. This was 2004 or something. Her answer was sure, but you should know I'm pretty easy. She came over. We watched the movie for a bit, and then we started making out, and she said it's a shame I'm on my period, but I heard a real captain also sails the Red Sea, so I put down a towel and went to town. Bad lay though. Total starfish. Had one repeat performance a week later, but she still wasn't great. Come to think of it, I don't think she even touched my dick at all. Girl from high school, and we were super into each other. We dated for a while, but she didn't want to have sex until she was married, so I married her. Had an affair with my mental health social worker. She was a terrific lay, but it all ended very badly, which I knew it would. It shouldn't have happened, but it did. I have a male social worker looking after me now, so I guess I won't have that problem again. I was at a party, and out of the blue a random girl just walked up and asked me if I wanted to duck her. I was confused and asked if she was serious. She was and we had a fun time. Saw her like 2 hours later doing the same thing to some other guy. I hope you got tested after that. At Ikey, wouldn't it be fun to go duck in one of the fake showers? It was. It was fun to duck in one of the fake showers. Some 20 years ago I was at the university. At a party I got into a conversation with a girl about the latest book in Robert Jordan's Wheel of Time series. Far from being a turn-off and showing what a massive geek was, that girl actually loved the Wheel of Time and other fantasy novels. One thing led to another, and we ended up doing the naked conga at my place. Never thought my love for fantasy novels would get me laid. Actually how I lost my virginity, had a date with a girl. She wasn't really into it, but wanted to stay friends. About 3 weeks later I had another date with a completely different girl, during which said girl showed clear signals that she wanted to get away from me. Quite the bummer. But you can't win them all. Me, clearly frustrated, message girl 1 from 3 weeks prior about it, and she just casually mentions that she has the evening free and we could hang out. I had nothing to do so I agreed. 3 hours later, and we lay in her bed watching some stupid Pixar movie that I didn't pay attention to. What I did pay attention to was my growing bulge in close proximity to her ass. She had clearly noticed, because about 5 minutes later, she just grabbed my hand and put it on one of her breasts. I gave it a bit of a test squeeze, and she was into it, and that's how I lost my virginity. Had sex 4 times that night and 2 times in the morning. Also kept ducking for another month, until we realized that if we wanted to elevate the sex from okay to amazing we would have to be more compatible. So we dropped it. When I asked her why she just randomly decided to duck me after all, she just told me I was ducking horny and you are a nice guy. So I thought I'd give it a shot. Guess nice guys can finish first after all. Hey, thanks for watching, and don't forget to subscribe.